listeners, this is Ef'n Molina, and today we got with us the legend, the man, Rey Ortiz. How are you doing, Rey? Thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you.
We really wanted to bring you on the show, not because you are a legendary attorney, but also because in the news, there's been a story that made national news about a man who jumped his neighbor's fence, strangled the neighbor's dog, and was arrested for it. And that brought to mind animal law, the rights that our furry friends have. And you have been an advocate for animal rights in this area for a very long time. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about it?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I've been a lawyer over 40 years, and but I'm going to say maybe 30 years ago is when I picked up my first, quote, animal case. And as far as I know, I'm the only lawyer in the Rio Grande Valley that does animal law. In other words, I represent animals. I represent cats, dogs, horses. And when I say I represent them, they get hurt just like humans do. They get hurt in car accidents. They get hurt by veterinarian, malpractice. Mm-hmm. They get hurt. They get bit by the neighbor's dog. They get mauled by the neighbor's dog. So all those types of accidents are actionable. I mean, I've learned animal law, and obviously I'm an animal advocate, and I represent the pet owners for either hurting a dog or a cat or killing them. And so, I mean, they're obviously not like a personal injury case, but to me it's very satisfying to help the owners recover something. And most people do not know that animals have these rights.
Can you explain, like, what type of rights do animals have?
The simplest one is veterinary malpractice. It's just like regular malpractice. Veterinarians, and none of these cases I've taken do I say that the veterinarian, purposely, intentionally hurt an animal. I mean, obviously that's their job and that's what they're supposed to do, take care of animals, but they're negligent. And so their E&O policy covers that type of negligence, and whether they kill the animal or hurt the animal, then it's just like humans. I have to show, what the problem was, what the damages are, and try to recover as much as I can.
I can't recall the case off the top of my head, but wasn't there a Texas Supreme Court case that made like headlines because I think the family tried to get the emotional damage or the sentimental damage for their dog, and the Supreme Court said no, you could only get market value or something like that.
Yeah, that's been a fight, all the animal lawyers against the Supreme Court, and it's just this last Supreme Court case was important because for years the insurance companies and the Republican Supreme Court has always said, no, animals are just, it's like this desk, and you just get market value, you don't get anything else. Mm-hmm. But that was the case you're talking about, I can't remember the name, specifically said, no, you can't get any other damages other than what you would call, market value. I've always fought that for 30 years. And the way I get around it and to this day, I don't care what the law says. I'm going to change it someday, me and these other lawyers. But this table you have here, you paid, I don't know, $1,000 for it. But it has sentimental value because it came from your great-great-great-grandmother. So if someone damages your table here, it's not just chattel, it's just not property, but it has what they call under the property law, extrinsic value. So to replace it may only be $1,000, but you can't replace something that your great-grandmother gave you, so they're going to give you $5,000. In all the cases I've had in the past, the defense lawyers will say, okay, you've had this cat for 10 years, here's $300 to get you another cat. Mm-hmm. And I said, it doesn't work that way. That cat was a family member for 10 years or however long, provided emotional support for grandma or whoever. Yeah. And I don't care what the law says, let's call it extrinsic value. Because if you're saying that a cat or a dog is nothing more than property, fine. But property has extrinsic value. And so instead of giving me $300, you're going to give me $10,000.
Ah, okay.
And so that's how I've handled these cases. And for the most part, I can't think of anywhere where I've not settled the case. using that argument. And the defense counsel will talk to the carriers. Look, it is extrinsic value. If you want to call it extrinsic value. Don't call it emotional damage.
Emotional damage, yeah.
Now I haven't had a case lately where they would apply that law. Although about 2 years ago, I had a case in Cameron County where I represented a horse and against a veterinarian. It was during the rodeo, and so the vets had a lot of horses and to take care of. And this one horse passed the test, but he had some skin condition, and the veterinarian told a helper, a volunteer, two girls who were afraid of horses. Horses are big animals.
Yeah.
And these two girls were junior high, were afraid of her, and they said, "No, go out there. Look. Here's a gallon of this medicine. Take a cup of this medicine and mix it with a gallon of water, and pour it on the horse." The girls were all freaked out, didn't listen. They poured the whole gallon of medicine on the horse.
Oh, wow.
The horse was not happy. He kicked out of his stable, ran around, actually collapsed in the field. And the owners who happened to be there ran out there, thought he was dead. And it reminded me of, I don't know if you ever saw this movie called Pulp Fiction, where this girl, John Travolta, and I can't remember the actress name, started freaking out because she took too much drugs, and he took her to a friend's house, and they took this big syringe and hit her in the heart.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Well, that's what they did to this horse. The veterinarian went out there. The horse was passed out in the field. Took this long syringe and boom, hit the horse. It popped up. Okay, so the horse didn't die, but he was scarred because the medicine burned him. The point of that story is that the insurance company was saying, "Look, okay, you had some medical damages. Here's $3,000." No, okay, the medical damages. The damages for taking him to another vet was $3,000. But the owners who saw this horse that almost died running around, and now he didn't want to get in the trailer. He associated the trailer with going to the vet. All those, and what made the case is this. Is that the veterinarians, remember this, I said this was during the rodeo, had to go to trial. And the judge at that time in Cameron County did not grant them a continuance. And they had to miss work every day they were going to miss work for a week. And so their thoughts were, this is a business decision. The insurance company only wants to pay so much. We're losing thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Two veterinarians not at the office while it's during rodeo. So they coughed up whatever. It's a confidential settlement, but they coughed up the rest of the money to settle the case. And the horse lived. He finally was able to get back into the trailer.
Well, and Ray, what made you want to get into animal law? What made you do it?
I've always liked animals. We really didn't have pets when we were growing up. Couldn't afford them. But my daughter got her first pet, which was a cockatiel. And that was a funny little animal. But and then after the cockatiel, we got a dog. I think the first actual legal case was my secretary, Rosemary. She had a cat for 10 years. Took it in to get his teeth cleaned. No big deal, not a problem, nothing wrong with the cat. And I don't know if they have to, knock them out. They have to give them anesthesia to clean their teeth, cats and dogs. And the veterinarian left a vet tech, says, okay, he's fine, we'll clean his teeth. I'll come back in an hour or so. And so you have to intubate them. To give them oxygen stuff while they're under. When they start coming out, you pull the tube out, but there's a little spring that the tube has that keeps it in there. And when you close that spring in order to take the tube out. This guy forgot to press the spring, so when he pulled it out, cut the cat's throat. And so that was, unfortunately, the cat survived for 3 days. And there was I got an expert witness that said this guy just really screwed up. So that was the first almost a significant case that I had. So then from then on, it just the word got out.
When you say an expert witness, usually when in lawyer language, when you mention expert witness, you're usually dealing with a case that's over six figures. So so
No, the expert witness was obviously another veterinarian that we all knew. He retired. He's no longer here, but he was so incensed that the other veterinarian had
screwed him up, yeah,
and not really talked to the vet tech on how to do this. That he did it for free, and
Wow.
so that's what made the case. But yeah, that was the first decent one that I had, and then from then on, I just had different cases. But as far as I know, I'm still the only lawyer that represents animals.
Do animal groups reach out to you specifically and ask for your help?
Yes, like there's several. It's a little bit. They're not really animal law, but they're sort of similar, or they're kind of related. Like lately, all these different groups, Palm Valley and the one from Harlingen and the one from Mission, they're all they're doing different things, and some are saying, well, what they're doing, it's not enough, and too many pets are getting euthanized, and it's more of a political thing than any kind of legal stuff. But they call for any kind of help that I can give them. I think I was telling you earlier. Terry Palacios, the DA, created a new department for animal cruelty cases.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. Yeah.
And it's just recent, and it's funny because he created it, and then all of a sudden you had that story about those two women that had 90 cats. Remember in McAllen, and then the next week you had some guy with 40 cats, and it's just, and then all of a sudden you have this one last week where this guy killed, trespassed and killed this pug. I think it was.
That was a pug
for no reason, and he's out smiling on his mugshot, and he commented. I understand that he said he felt alive killing the
dog. Yeah.
I mean, so it's a good thing that he created it, but its department is staffed right now by just one part-time lawyer prosecutor. So actually today I went to meet with Terry and asked him, look, this is not going to work with a part-time, and you have all these cases. So I volunteered my services. I'm going to help the prosecutor prosecute these claims, and so we're working on getting me named as a special prosecutor.
Wow, Ray, that is awesome.
Yeah,
so, that is awesome to have you as a special prosecutor doing these types of cases.
Yeah.
Wow.
So and Elizabeth she's the prosecuting attorney in Ismael Fonseca's court, and she does the animal cases sort of secondary, but she's wanting to sort of be named as the prosecutor in these cases, regardless of what court it's in, regardless if it's a felony or a misdemeanor. Yeah. And so I thought I'd be happy to help her. So.
Wow, I can't. Our county is blessed to have you. If appoint you as a special prosecutor, because you're not just some ordinary lawyer off the street. I mean, you're most of the time when you're with your litigation experience, you're a powerhouse. I know I get scared whenever I see you like on the other side. So wow, so for you to be helping the community prosecuting these cases, that must be awesome, Ray.
Yeah,
that must be awesome.
And I hope it'll come to fruition. I hope that we'll get that worked out, early next week. At some point, I'm looking towards the county, the commissioners, actually giving the DA's office a budget for this particular unit. I mean, obviously, it doesn't compare to the unit that does the child abuse cases or, women. It doesn't compare, but still, it's a unit that a lot of cities have. Houston has it, Dallas has it, San Antonio has it, and there's a special unit to cover animal cruelty cases. And there's been, lots of studies. I'm sure you heard it. You get these like this one in particular last week. This guy that killed this pug. You get these kids, these men and women that start off by killing animals, and they like it, and they don't care. They have no feelings, and those are the psychopaths.
Psychopaths,
Those are the
yeah.
serial killers, and it's really is scary. So we'll see if we can at some point get a budget to prosecute
Yeah,
these cases.
we need that unit. We need that because there's been so many animal laws passed in the past 5 years. That
Yeah, you're right.
what was that one, Ray, where the leash law? What is it? It used to be, at least when I grew up, most people would just chain their dog to a tree, give him some water, some food, and then
Yeah.
that's their dog. That's
Yeah.
live his life chained to a tree.
Yeah.
That's illegal now, right?
Yes, it's illegal, but it's amazing. It's surprising that most cities will not enforce it.
Oh wow.
And I mean, your neighbor, when it first came out, everybody was, "Oh yeah, we need to do this," and but now unless a neighbor or someone else complains, I hate to say it, but most cities are not going to be too concerned about a dog being, out in the heat, no water, no food for weeks.
The way you treat the weakest people or the weakest creatures in society reflects the society like as a whole. And I think when you see a dog chained to a tree or you see a dog that's being abused and neglected, that's usually a sign of something bigger happening at that home or that person that lives there, right?
There's no question about it. Yeah, absolutely. Something's going on with that family unit or that individual that causes them to mistreat one particular animal or 50 animals. It doesn't make any sense. And I have no idea. I don't know about the specifics about these two women who had 93 animals. But if the defense is, I'm picking up all these strays because I'll take them to the Humane Society, they're going to be euthanized. Okay, that might be one argument, but 93? How are you going to save 93 animals? And actually, you're not doing them a service. You're doing them a disservice when you find them. They're all matted. They're not dead, but they're not happy. I can't believe that they're happy. They're all in pens. They're all in cages, sleeping in their own feces.
Yeah.
It's just, you don't want them euthanized, but this is not a way to live.
What's been the weirdest animal case that you've ever handled?
The weirdest and probably most interesting. I had not too long ago. I had and it's fun. It was during COVID, and I went to take one of my dogs to the vet, and and you have to stay outside. And they call you. You take your animal inside. It was during the COVID, and there was this pickup truck next to me. This young girl, and I was waiting to get called in, and I started talking to her. She was waiting to get called out because the dog was with the vets. The dog came out, and I thought it was a German Shepherd, and he was limping, and the dog came out, and it was they call him a Belgian Malinois, super smart dog, a little bit smaller than the German, but they're much more intelligent, and all the border patrols and all these people use. I don't know if you're familiar with the Belgians, and so a real pretty dog, and so I started talking to her because they hadn't called me yet. Says, I said, oh, did he get hurt in an accident? A car ran over him. My neighbor shot him.
Oh,
I said, it says, I'm from Stark County, and we have a big ranch, and we have 3 of these dogs, and they were sort of patrolling, the acres, staying on their side of the fence, and the neighbor shot him. I said, how do you know? And said, because the dog ran 100 yards bleeding and everything back to the house.
Oh, wow.
And somehow he told the owner, hey, that guy shot me. And so her father, because they could tell he'd been over there. Somehow they went over there and talked to the guy and says, well, he was on my property, so I shot him. And he's also scaring all my deer. It was during deer season. Says, what do you mean you're a deer? And he had a deer blind next to the fence. So he said, so the guy called the sheriff's department. Sheriff's department went over there, and the guy told him the same story. Yeah, he came over to my property, so I shot him, and he ran back to his house. And the sheriff's department, this is Stark County, and says, I'm sorry, man, but your dog went over that property. And the guy said, I've trained these dogs. They don't go anywhere outside the boundary. I can turn them loose. I called them. They come. That didn't happen. So the owner, this girl's father, got pissed. He would not take no. So he called the game warden. The game warden was the one that made the case for him because he went back out there. Guy told him the same story and says, where did he go on your property? Oh, he went over there. Is that where you shot him? Yeah. Game warden goes over there where you allegedly shot him. Says, funny, I don't see any blood here. He says, and where did he run back? He ran out that way. So the game warden goes on my client's property, sees a trail of blood, sees where he shot him.
Oh, wow.
There's a blood there. And he sees the trail of blood. He says, you're lying to me. You shot him on his property. Okay, I shot him on his property because he was scaring my deer. And he says, your deer? Your deer? And he said, you're under arrest. So, but for the game warden, and I talked to him, and the state of Texas was making it real difficult for me to call him as a witness and subpoena him. But anyway, he gave me enough information to where I filed suit against the homeowner, and he happened to be from Dallas or somewhere, and the adjuster was actually an animal lover. And he says, man, there's a fine line here because it's they don't cover intentional conduct. But they made an exception, and
wow.
We got the case settled. But it was real. The dog's name was Kilo. And so out in Starr County, and I never found out what my client did. He was retired. So I said, okay. But the dog, it was real funny. The dog, the daughter would come in to see me and bring the dog, and he became our friend. But Keel's best friend was, Keel was like a German Shepherd, and his best friend was a little Chihuahua, and I forgot what his name was, but it was in that realm. I kind of forgot what his name was, but anyway, they were inseparable. And so you had this big Belgian Malinois, and you had this little Chihuahua, and they always traveled together. But he survived. Unfortunately, he lost his leg. He lost his front leg.
Front leg? Wow.
Yeah, but he was a young dog, and so everybody said, no, he'll be fine. But that was the most interesting case I've had.
Yeah, and what do you experience like helping these people? Because I think if something, most lawyers I know probably won't take an animal case because they think that there's no money in it unless someone gets rear-ended. Most lawyers don't care. That's what I think's sad. So,
you're right. It's not. I'm certainly not doing it for the money. I mean, I'm satisfied that I get a lot more than that the law says that they're entitled to. Get a lot more than that. But it's just I meet a new client, I meet a new family. I get the satisfaction of helping them, especially if the animal died, is to, use that money for something, to kind of like, remember the animal or whatever it is, a dog or cat or whatever their family member is. So it's that's my satisfaction.
Ray, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for joining us. And we hope to hear about you being appointed special prosecutor and you continuing your advocacy for animals.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you.
Also.
Thank you,
Ray.
Ray.
Very much for inviting me.